So, Until Dawn is a new horror film that's based on the video game of the same name, directed by David F. Sandberg. In the film, we follow a group of characters that find themselves at this house that after a certain amount of time, they are murdered. But after they are murdered, time reverses, and as y'all can imagine, they're murdered once again, but in a different matter. And after they have been killed a certain amount of times, they discover that the only way out of this alive is to survive, you guessed it, until dawn. Before I continue on with today's video, I just wanted to say, welcome to my channel, everybody. For those of you who are coming by my channel for the very first time, be sure to hit the subscribe button to them as a feature video, whether it's a feature review, a reaction, a top 5, top 10, or whatever I've coming your way, and join me on my journey to 10K subscribers and beyond, because believe me when I say this, guys, you are not going to miss the cool stuff I have coming your way. And for those of you who are coming back to my channel, by the way, welcome back, everybody. You have no idea how happy I am to see your faces once again. And let's also start our conversation below as well. Are you guys looking forward to Until Dawn? Have you seen the film? What did you think of it? If you haven't seen the film, what are your hopes about this movie? What are your fears about this movie? Let me know below. Alrighty guys, so let's get into Until Dawn.
Excellent!
When it was announced that there would be an adaptation of Until Dawn, my main thought was, why? I mean, the game is about as cinematic as it gets. It's an interactive movie. There's no need for it. I know that a lot of people were very upset and were, to be quite frank, angry that this movie wasn't a one-to-one adaptation of the game. But to me, that was the reason why I was actually more intrigued to see this movie, because the fact that this movie was going in a different direction and not being a one-to-one translation or a one-to-one adaptation of the game. And seeing what David F. Sandberg, who by the way, the filmmaker behind Lights Out, Annabelle Creation, Shazam, knowing that he was making this movie and knowing where they were taking this movie with this concept, I was more interested than anybody else. But I am a big fan of the game, and I do my best to replay it every October, because Until Dawn, whether it's the original version or the remaster, well, I don't know if it's a remaster or remake, I mean, you guys get my point. That game is one of those perfect spooky season games they can get together and play with a bunch of friends. This is a movie that I had a fun time with. I thought that the performances were a lot of fun. There is not a single performance in this movie that's gonna be nominated for an Oscar or Golden Globe. What made these performances fun for me was more than anything else the bantering, especially once they figure out what exactly is going on within this time loop. I was enjoying these performances mainly because of the bantering and the camaraderie between all these actors, and I thought that they did a good job. Before I saw this movie, I had a pretty good idea, or a pretty good feeling, that I was really going to care about these characters, and sure enough, I was right. But to me, really, the fact that I didn't care about these characters so much, and the fact that I was still locked into seeing what was going to happen to these characters, that to me says a lot right there. The fun for me watching Until Dawn was like watching these characters going through a haunted house ride and being killed off in various ways. And I gotta tell you guys, one of the things that I really dug about this movie was seeing David F. Sandberg crafting these sequences, and how each sequence ends with all these characters dying. There is a specific bit where it goes into a direction and it just, let's just say, shit hits the fan, and I just went like, okay, oh! I was having so much fun watching these characters try to navigate through essentially was like, to me, pretty much like a Halloween Horror Nights house, but a very deadly one at that. Even though I did not really care for the characters, which seems very ass backwards to me, because I've always said that at a horror film, one of the most important things is that I care for the characters so that the tension of the sequences are still scary. But even though I didn't care for the characters, I still had fun watching this movie because of one primary thing, and that's because of David F. Sandberg and how he crafted some really cool and some really frightening sequences. There are certain sequences in this movie where there are some great Easter eggs that not only reference Until Dawn, but there are direct tie-ins to what happens in certain elements without giving too much away. There is a particular sequence to which I essentially had a Rick Dalton moment from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that once I saw this one shot, I essentially went like this. I essentially had that reaction. Until Dawn is also such a cool and a very stylish looking film. There is a particular sequence that the way that David F. Sandberg and I believe Maxim Alexander, I believe that's the cinematographer's name, how they frame this one sequence not only looks like it came straight from the game, like straight from the game, but there are other sequences that just look really, I mean really cool. This movie is a really, really cool looking movie.
Well, that's just fucking great!
Until Dawn, while it is most definitely a fun movie, it is a flawed film, and a very, very flawed film at that. One of my biggest criticisms towards this movie is the fact that, well, like I mentioned you guys earlier, there's really no character development in this movie whatsoever. There came a point in this movie in which there was a character that had something happen to them, of course without spoiling anything. At the moment that this happened to him, I just thought, okay, you could just kill him off. This movie does do its best to really amp up the tension to hopefully get you to care about these characters before they die. But I didn't care because I was having fun watching them trying to navigate this house before they were being killed off. For the first 30 minutes, this was a movie that I just couldn't get into. But then again, I might attribute that to the fact that my movie theater, the people I was with, couldn't have been more annoying and more distractive. Whether it's the two teenagers that were on their phone throughout the film, the teenagers that were sitting next to me talking, and also, not to mention as well, the people above me that wouldn't shut up as well. Yeah, shout out to all of you that nearly ruined this movie for me. Yeah, you guys suck, just wanted to say that. But after all that, thank God they all shut up and they actually got sucked into the movie. So maybe the first 30 minutes may have been the fact that my movie audience I was with kind of sucked. In the first 30 minutes, it is very, very clear that this movie is essentially trying to be like a cabin in the woods and it's set up. And here's the thing, not only did that film have great character development and great thrills, but it was just a great movie. Until Dawn tries to do all that, but without the character development. I mean, sure, it has the thrills and the frights to go along with it, absolutely, but it doesn't have the character development to go along with that. Let's talk about two characters in this movie now. Of course, once again, spoilers. One of these characters is a clairvoyant, and another character is in the situation because of her lost sister. These two characters, you do get the idea that they're supposed to have a greater role and a greater feeling, you know, throughout this film, being like the central emotional pieces in this movie. But these two characters not only barely get their time to do anything, but these characters really just, their backstories are barely explored or just barely explained in this movie. Not to mention as well, the girl that's in the situation because her sister was lost. There is literally one scene into which you're supposed to care about the situation, but more than anything else, it felt like it was slapped on there because once again, you're supposed to care about these characters, or once again, didn't really give two shits about really any of these characters.
And here we go.
So overall, while Until Dawn is a very flawed film that is not like the game, at the same time, not only am I happy that it wasn't like the game, but it's a movie that, well, I had fun with. It's not like the game, and it does throw a lot of elements out there that just feel like they're being thrown in. At the same time, I cannot deny that I had a fun time watching these characters and what felt like just a fun little haunted house thrill ride. All in all, I'm gonna give Until Dawn a 3 out of 5. Until Dawn was just a fun movie, and is it a movie that I can see myself rewatching every October for spooky season? Yeah, I'll definitely watch this movie every spooky season. It's a fun haunted house thrill ride. I hope you enjoyed my review of Until Dawn. If so, please hit the like button, or if you dislike this review, hit the dislike button. If you guys want to see in my previous two videos, please click either right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.